Morning, everybody. Good morning. Let's see, let's get my video going. There. Good morning, everyone. It's so good to be with you. Gosh, Mark and Cindy, those videos are just perfect. We could just listen to videos. How about that? Now, that's perfect. Oh, it's great to be with you this morning. And as Cindy and I were talking about earlier, isn't it great that it's not raining? Oh, it's great that it's a brighter morning. And we were saying it's been raining and raining and raining and lamenting. And right on cue, Cindy says, yeah, but that means I don't have to water the garden. It's true. We don't have to do any watering right now. It'll probably be a little bit before we have to do some watering, given all the rain we've had. So that's finding the blessing. That's finding the blessing in each moment of now. And that's what this has to be about, dear ones. Because if it's not, this is a crazy, scary time. And so you and I, as conscious beings, have the opportunity to use this time to do what it is we've been talking about all these years, right? To find the blessing in the moment because they're there. They're there if you're looking, if you're using those eyes, if you're putting on those lenses, and that's the way you're seeing the world. It's not about denial. It's not about denial of what's happening. It's about choosing the way we're going to view what's going on, because that's going to help us move through it. That's going to help us find the blessing and the healing to move forward so we can move beyond this, that we don't have to spin in this or circle back around or get caught or get stuck in it. If we're looking for the blessing, what is it in the Old Testament? Talks about when Jacob wrestled with the angel. He wrestled with the angel to get until he got the blessing. Then he didn't need to wrestle anymore. That's where we're at. Are we going to get stuck and caught in the struggle, in the wrestling, in the struggle? Or are we going to find the blessing and move forward? I found this quote by Ernest Holmes. You know, Ernest Holmes is the founder of the Church of Religious Science. I believe now they're calling themselves the Center for Spiritual Living. It says, learn to see God in all manifestations, in all people, through all events. The ordinary person sees only the lump of matter. Not so with the awakened soul. The awakened soul sees in all things the divine mind at work, molding out into expression what it feels itself to be of life, of color, of form, and beauty. That's the opportunity that we have here, dear ones. That's what's calling us forward in these times. I mean, it's easy to get caught in, oh my goodness, what's next? What's going to happen next? The truth is it's all unfolding. We're in the midst of a time where it's being presented through each moment, through each voice, through each step, an opportunity to do things differently. And there's a big piece of us, the parts of us, certainly the ego, that says, oh, no, 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 no. I don't like to do things differently. I don't like things I don't have files on. No, thank you. And makes it wrong. And so there's the struggle. There's the struggle that can't trust, the ego can't trust that what's happening is a moving forward, that it's time for. It's obviously time for it. And so you and I watching and observing all this, it's like we can go and hide under the covers. And there's a moment where you may say, like this. And the truth is that it's a hugely powerful moment to step forward into a new day, into doing things differently, into trusting the process, that if we let our hearts lead us, we'll move in a direction that serves everyone. If we're leading from fear, it's just going to continue to be a bonfire. Questions or comments about that so far? Anybody? Just unmute yourself and then mute yourself again when you're done.
We're listening, Joanna.
Okay, thanks, Debbie.
Whatever tomorrow brings, I'll be there with open arms and open heart.
Let it be so, and so it is. Indeed. And we can sit here today, all of us, and talk about this, and it feels kind of okay, that makes sense. Let's do it. But and when we're in the midst of it for ourselves, it can be challenging. It can be really challenging. I'm going to share a personal story with you. I tend not to get too personal with stuff because I don't want to have you guys have to listen to what's going on for me, because my trials and tribulations aren't any more than anyone else's. But I was kind of led to share this with you because it feels appropriate to share it with you. And so I will, because it kind of speaks to this. Recently, I've had some health challenges, and in the process of dealing with these health challenges, it was discovered that I have diabetes. And no one could have been more shocked about it than me. What do you mean diabetes? I don't have diabetes. I'm not going to get diabetes. What do you mean diabetes? Nobody in my family has diabetes. There's no that I'm not a diabetes person. No, there must be some mistake. Do the test again. That can't be right. So then they did the A1C1, and it came back that yeah, she's diabetic. And I was really, really, really unhappy about that. Really, really, really unhappy about that. And please hear me, I am not making a comment on anybody else's experience, at all. Not at all. I'm only speaking about mine. And the way I felt about it at the time, first of all, shock. First of all, the second, disbelief. There was a part of me that just absolutely was not going to sit still for this. Knew that can't be right. It's not me. That's not happening. Number 4, I felt like a failure. A failure. I mean, here I am, somebody who's supposed to be supportive of folks in the world, and here I've got diabetes, because for me, what that said to me is that my body and my life was out of control. How could that happen? How could that happen to me? What does this say? What will people think? Oh my goodness, I went through, it was really a dark moment, I gotta say. I have to admit to you, it was not fun. And I did not make it easy for the doctor or the nurses either. Oh my goodness. And I was sent the greatest angels that were just so patient with me. Apparently, I'm not the first one to behave this way with this diagnosis. Who knew? So anyway, we have this wonderful program on the island of education for folks who get the diagnosis of diabetes. And there was like a 5-week thing, and I had to go to the hospital each week for 5 weeks to meet with a different nurse who specializes in different aspects of things that you deal with around diabetes. And because we're in the lockdown, usually these are classes, but because of the lockdown, I got to have private sessions, which actually I was really grateful for, because this has been a struggle for me. So anyway, I'm learning about all this, and I'm having a whole lot of trouble doing the pricking my finger thing, and I can't get any blood to come out, and it's just not working. And I mean, I am the problem patient. There's no question about it. I was just going through a really rough time with it. And so one of the things the nurses told me was, well, the whole big thing, a big part of the whole thing is your diet. And Joanna, we're going to have to look at your diet and probably make some changes. Really? Oh my goodness, did I have to make changes? I had to change everything, every single thing I had to change. And of course, I wasn't happy about that either. But I started to make the changes and do what was necessary. And then the nurse told me something that I didn't know. She said, for diabetes in someone's body, She said, stress is as big a thing as what you're eating. Really? Yes, it is. Well, as you know, I've just been dealing with the loss of one of my closest friends and just had a lot going on, as we all have had a lot going on. And so I had to look at that. I had to look at that really closely. And so each week I would go in and get more support and move through it a little bit more and a little bit more. And when I got to the last nurse who I was to see, she looked at me and she said, Joanna, you know you have a chronic illness, don't you? I said, a chronic illness? No, no. Doctor told me that if I lost 25 pounds, I wouldn't have diabetes anymore. She looked at me and she said, that is not true. She said, you'll probably be able to manage your sugar much more easily. She goes, yeah. And she said, and you can have a healthy life doing that. You can live as long as anybody else doing that. Absolutely. She said, but if you go off the program that you're doing that's causing your sugars to come down and for you to live a healthy life, if you go off of that, you go right back into high blood sugars because you have diabetes. It's not going away. And I just sat back and she said, and I'm not telling you this to be negative, to hit you over the head. She goes, you've got to come to a reality, an understanding about this for yourself. She said, so it'll be a lot easier for you. And I can tell that you're suffering with it. And finally, she said to me, Joanna, is there anything positive that's happening to you because of having this illness? So I stopped and I thought about it for a while. I said, yes, Amber, there is. There's actually quite a huge thing. She said, what's that? And I said, I'm having to learn how to do self-care. Serious self-care, meaning being aware of what I'm eating, when I'm eating it, taking the meds, testing my blood, watching how I'm holding stress, all these kinds of things, not to become self-absorbed, no, but to be aware and taking care of myself. For much of my life, the kind of life I have where I'm very involved in being a support person for a lot of people in this life, that's my job, that's my heart, that's what I do. One of the people that would end up being at the end of that list of folks is me. And it's kind of a classic thing, or even a cliche in a way. Being a minister is one of those jobs, one of those vocations where it's very easy to hide, because the thing to do is to be supportive to the folks around you. That's what you do. And it's very easy then to put yourself on the back burner. And that's what I've done for, well, I'm 68, so much of that, the last 40, 45 years, I guess you would say I'm a slow burner. So I had to stop and really think about that, because I've had to change everything. I've had to change my way of doing things from the time I get up in the morning till the time I go to sleep, thinking in terms of what I'm eating, what I'm buying at the store, what I'm cooking, how it all comes together, all of that stuff. It can't just be on the fly, whatever, whenever, pick it up, do it. No, it can't. I have to be very conscious about what I'm choosing moment to moment each day. It's about inhabiting me, this body, mind, and spirit in a way that I haven't done it before. And you know what? If I hadn't got this diagnosis, who knows how long it would have taken me to get there. Because what I'm noticing about it is, in this process of having more awareness about what's going on inside this person, this physical, along with the spirit and the heart, is I'm having more awareness about life around me in a different way. who I am in relationship to it is shifting, is evolving because I'm inhabiting myself more. I have beginning to have a broader awareness of who I am in relationship to all the rest of it. And that's how it works. I've been teaching that class for years. And so I'm having the physical, real, on all the levels experience of it now for myself. Questions or comments about any of this? Anybody? Unmute yourself if you want to speak. Nora? Anyone? So the reason I've shared this with you, because it's a pretty personal thing. It may shift how you see me as a person who comes and shares with you on Sunday morning. And all I can tell you is that I've stepped in, I've absorbed or come to claim more of my humanity than I ever have before. And what I've realized about that is as I claim more of my humanity, it gives me access to more of my spirit. Does that make sense? It really does. It really does. I've been noticing it every day, every single day. And so is there a positive in this? Absolutely. And so as I move through this and you're moving through what you're experiencing, I highly, highly recommend that you stop and allow yourself to fully inhabit your humanity. For as you do that, you make more room for your spirit to lift you, to bless you, to transform you, to lead you. I was reading and was looking for another quote, and I came upon this quote by a writer's name, Sally Robbins. It says, if we are meant to be a calm in the storm or a light in the darkness, then we must ask ourselves how we accomplish that. Can we maintain the vibration and frequency of serenity when those around us are frantic? She asks. Can we be the light in the darkness? She reminds us the light and power of God are always at your disposal, simply awaiting your choice to use them. Force yourself and be the calm in the storm. Well, I have been through this a health storm, and it's been rough. I admit it, it's been rough. But as I began to realize and find the blessing in the midst of it, it's becoming more manageable. I'm able to accept it more. I'm able to accept myself more. The inner critic is taking the bat off the top of my head, banging at me. How could you do this? How could this happen? How could this be you? Why would you all of that? Just letting it go. Because this has been my avenue, my door and window opening into a greater sense of me, who I am, and what's required for me. And if I can do that, is like, again, not to be self-absorbed, but to be self-aware. And boy, is there a difference between those two. Such a difference. Questions or comments about any of that? You guys want to discuss any of this?
Joanna, I think a lot of us can relate to what you're talking about. And what I've noticed about myself when I'm feeling under stress is I tend to go to shallow breathing. And when I catch myself doing that, I remind myself, okay, I need to practice my deep breathing techniques. I need to maybe slow down and take some personal time. But I think a lot of us are in that position of we're either a support person or a resource person for somebody in our life, and we want to stay healthy and available so that we can continue to do that. So we need to take care of ourselves.
Oh boy, that's so important, Debbie. Thank you for that. Indeed, because you know what? I'm no good to anybody else if I'm falling apart myself. It's no good. I'm no help, or I'm limited help. Say thank you for that. And breathing, what an important reminder that is in the moment, especially when you're looking at what's happening out there. It's easy to move into shallow breathing without even knowing it. Checking in with ourselves. Who am I in relationship to this? How can I be present as a part of the light in the storm if I'm not breathing deeply? And so breathing is that's our reset button. It's our connection to opening the doors and windows to the truth of us. And oh, we need that in these times, don't we? Thank you for that, Debbie. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else want to share? I see some folks have their mics unmuted, but Tracy, Morris, Joe, anybody? I want you to give you the opportunity if you want to share. If not, that's okay.
Hello, this is Morris.
Yes, Morris. Hi.
Yes, several years ago, my mother became challenged with diabetes, and I started doing research. And one of the things that I remember, and I'll always remember, is that there is something called the Glycemic Index.
Mm-hmm.
One can go on Google and print out the Glycemic Index, and it's and there's a glycemic index for all of the different foods,
Mm-hmm.
and it was recommended
Mm-hmm.
by to my mother, basically, that any foods that has a glycemic index of more than about 55 should be either avoided or else eaten very, very sparingly,
Mm-hmm.
and to try to eat a lot of foods that have a glycemic index in the 30s and 40s. So basically,
Yes.
and the good thing, since we're in the information age now, anyone can go on Google and just put in glycemic index chart and find a glycemic index chart and print it out. Just thought I'd share that information.
Thank you, Morris. Thank you. That's very important. And that's a really important measurement. And that is one of the ways that foods are classified, to know a glycemic index, meaning spiking your sugar level, your blood sugar going up, what causes it to spike, the various, and how much foods do and the different foods do. Thank you. Absolutely. It's really important. And along with that awareness, foods and how it's what's causing what's to go on in your body. What I found so interesting around that is testing my own blood sugar at any given time of the day or whatever. Is my body giving me a reading in the moment of what's going on inside? And this may sound funny to you, but for me, that was such a foreign thing. It's to have that reading right now of what's happening inside this particular body that's telling me how it's doing in this moment with what it is that I've done, whether I've been eating properly, if I've been exercising, if what I've been doing, because it shows me right now in this moment, this is what's happening. This is where you're at. And I know how to check in with what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. To have that physical readout in the moment of now, wow, that has just been amazing to me. And it's an exercise in being in the moment with my own physical body. And I'm obviously been very good at ignoring a lot of those signs and signals. I think our bodies are always suggesting to us, like as Debbie suggests, the shallow breathing, saying, I'm not getting enough oxygen because whatever's going on, I'm stressed, I'm distracted, and whatever it is, and it's causing me to breathe right at the top, not getting deeply and breathing from my core. being connected at the core level. Our solar plexus is there, where we're connected to all that is. When we're not breathing from that area, things are very shallow, are very across the top, aren't really connecting in to who we really are. And so that breathing awareness is a wonderful measurement. Or am I connected with myself? Am I connected with all that is at any given moment? And these tools and these measurements are really important in these days and times, because it would be easy to be terrified in this moment of now, given everything that's going on. But that's not what we're being asked. Conscious beings, we have to become more aware, more grounded, more connected. And in each moment, we're choosing, are we going to be the light in the midst? Or are we going to be hiding under the rock? And if we find ourselves hiding under the rock, be aware of it, breathe, stand up, and call forth the light within you. And you'll know where to go. You'll know what to do next. You absolutely will. Anyone else? Anyone else have anything they'd like to share? Nora? I keep thinking she wants to say something, but I guess not. We love you, Nora. Anybody else?
Hi, Joanna. This is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
I'm sorry you're having this health challenge, but I just knew you were going to find the gift in it, or the positive side. So I appreciate that.
Thank
Always
you, Joe.
important.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, I'll be perfectly honest with you. It didn't happen in the first minute. It didn't happen in the first 5 minutes. It didn't happen in the first day. It didn't happen in the first week. But you know what? It did happen when I was ready to open to. And it took a little bit. Yep, it did.
Amen.
Sometimes it does. Yep. But it did. And that's the important part, isn't it? It did. Because that truth of me was always there. Was always there. And I've been very fortunate. I've been healthy much of my life, and I've gotten away with a whole lot, obviously, until finally my body says, no, we need to deal with this now. It's time. And I'm wondering, because so much is going on now with us, that the whole period of time, these last 3 months that we've been in what we've called lockdown, is this, while things have slowed way down, it's like almost our beings have had the opportunity to catch up with us, because we haven't been doing all the same stuff we're always doing with our running and distracting and deflecting. We haven't had all those same ways to do that. And so it's caught up. We've had an opportunity to really look at ourselves, because that's what we had to do. That's what was going on. You could still get lost in your computer and, TV and stuff like that, but we weren't running as much. We couldn't. And so things have started to catch up. And it feels like it's been the impetus for this enormously potent time that we're in now, where we're giving ourselves the opportunity to look and see and do things differently. Will we? And if that's important to you, if you're seeing that and that's important to you, that we move forward in a new way, one of the ways that you can support that happening is make sure that in each moment of now, that you're checking in with yourself and coming from your connected body, mind, spirit, grounded, breathing deeply, opening the doors and windows to the truth of who you are, and bringing that forth, and let that be what's fueling you, what's feeding you, what's nourishing you, what's nurturing you. And you'll be fine. And what you're contributing will be so important. You will absolutely be a light in the storm. And we're grateful for you. We are so grateful for you. So let's take a moment now to just kind of breathe together. Deep breathing, as Debbie was suggesting. Deep breathing right down into the core. Taking such deep breath, a cleansing breath. Go and maybe go down into your tummy and breathe. Maybe go down to your knees and breathe. Maybe go down to your toes and breathe. All the way down. And realizing that as we breathe, we allow the doors and windows that we begin to inhabit our beings, body, mind, and spirit. That as we breathe, we can choose to say yes to divine essence, to God, to divine mother, to universal power, to life itself, to come forth through the opening. Fill us. Fill all the spaces that can feel empty, that can feel afraid, that can feel tight and restricted. Send the energy there first, releasing, letting go, being reminded that as we breathe, we are instruments of divine love, of peace, divine order, of healing into wholeness. Opening our hearts, calming our minds, relaxing our bodies. Remembering that the all that is, God, love, peace, is ours for the asking, is ours for the opening, is ours for we have to choose. And from this place of connected awareness, filled to overflowing with divine essence, with the sweetness, divine love, we might be reminded of someone who could, so use this reminder right now with whatever's going on for them. Oh, this may not be what they're feeling right now. That whatever's going on is causing fear and restricted energy, tightness, uncertainty, doubt, suffering. And because we're all one, you and I breathing from the deepest parts of ourselves, allowing in the truth of us, the love of us, the light of us. By doing so, we can offer it to one another. And so if there's someone you're thinking of right now, feel free to just say their names, and we'll hold them all together in this divine love.
Christine Miller.
Carolyn. Robert. Gina. For all these who we mentioned, for all our brothers and sisters in our extended community, on the peninsula, on the island, in the state, in the country, in the world, on this planet, in our universe, all life. We extend this blessing to all life, to all, and to all who are suffering, to all who don't know or have forgotten who they truly are. May all be lifted, may all be strengthened, may all be comforted. Divine love, be love through. Let it be so, and so it is. Amen. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Joanna. As always, absolutely beautiful. And I've touched many of us. I'm sure we're all thinking about those types of things. I know I had kind of a pre-diabetes scare at one time for me and ran out, got the little tester and the whole bit. Oh no, that can't be happening. So I understand completely. And Nora had commented, I hope she can get her mic working, but she had commented in the chat that she said she felt you were so talking about her right there.
Well, blessings to us all. Blessings
Yes.
everyone.
Well, good luck with the adjustment in your diet and your life, because it is a significant life change, but I have no doubt you can master it in no time.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Cindy. I really do. Thank you. Much love.
Much love to you. We will see you again very soon. Thank you so much.